Hello, 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 and welcome to Property Gamechangers Live on the Property Gamechangers Facebook page. We are here every week talking to amazing people who are changing the game in property. We're celebrating the power of ethical property investing to really change lives. We're debunking the myth that you need a lot of money to get started in property. And of course, we're inspiring each other to believe bigger, to be bolder, and to be game changers. And tonight's guest is the supercalifragilistic, said that wrong, Tunde Yusuff. And Tunde has done so many different things. He has Centena Homes, a property investment company investing in London and South Wales. Also, he invests in different businesses from recruitment, technology, and events and nightlife. Tunde is founder of the Mentor Circle, which is a charitable boot camp for 18 to 25-year-olds from disadvantaged backgrounds to find new employment or to start their own business. And I have been involved in the Mentor Circle in a small way as a mentor, and it has been an incredible experience what Tunde is doing there, and I can't wait to share that with you. And that came out of the Black Lives Matters and shining a light on inequality, but also doing something to really help people move forward. So welcome to Property Gamechangers, Tunde Yusuff.
Thank you for having me, Stephanie. It's great to be here. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too, because I've known you for a while, but I realize I don't really know very much about what you're doing on the property side.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, Tunde, whether it was like a flip moment for you when you decided to go into property, or was it more of a gradual thing?
Yeah, so for me, Stephanie, it was quite gradual. I've always, ever since I was young, I remember watching Homes Under the Hammer whilst not being at school. And, you know, I think there was another show called Escape to the Country. So I've always had a passive interest in property. The turning point really for me came when I moved to Southampton for university. And I lived in various different student houses. And over that time, you actually get to know your landlord a bit. So my third year property where I was living in, I got to know this landlord, and he was 60 years old, and he had built an incredible portfolio of 200, student HMOs. So when you kind of start to calculate how much am I paying, and then how much are, his other 199 tenants paying, you start to think, this might not be a bad industry for me to get in and and have a go at myself. So it was very organic for me. And then if we actually get into how I started, it actually came via a friend who was building a rent-to-rent portfolio, and we kind of joined forces to grow that rent-to-rent portfolio. This was way back, 2015, around 5 years ago. And ever since then, I've kind of kept my hand in property.
Okay, great. So, well, take us back in time to 2015 then. How did you... tell us how it kicked off, and obviously you're no longer doing rent to rent. So what happened there? So tell us all about it.
Yeah, so it really, like I said, it came from a friend of mine. We had gone to university together, and he was, an extremely entrepreneurial person. And I was reading a book actually by Grant Cardone, and it just basically talks about keeping in touch with your network and your immediate sort of people, anyone that you've met over the last couple of years, to keep in touch with them. So this particular friend, I just sent him a message and I said, hey, what are you up to these days? It'd be good to have a catch up. He was a year older than me at university, so we had lost touch for around about 2 years. And then he said, oh, I'm going on some property courses. We should talk. I've figured out this thing called rent to rent. I'm learning what it's about. And then since then, we met for a coffee. And he was very much the person who was extremely good at going out there to find deals. Direct to vendor, extremely proactive in that process. But he needed someone primarily to actually help him fund the deals, which I was in a fortunate enough position to be able to do so. And then also somebody just to kind of, balance out his energy, because he's a very energetic guy, but sometimes he needed that, someone to calm him down a bit.
And I know from one of the other things that you do, is systems your thing as well, Tunde?
Systems, not really.
Right.
I think I'm quite an organized person, and I try and be as organized and disciplined as possible. There's probably better people out there than me at systems. Like I've never had a VA or anything like that, which you'd probably kill me for. But yeah, I do try and be as organized as possible.
Yeah. So you've got this partnership, then you're putting the money in, your partner's going out there and finding the deals, which is something that I know that people struggle with.
Absolutely.
And how did it work? Did you find it? Because some people find that it really works well for them and others don't. So how did you get on with it?
Yeah, so for us, it worked quite well. It was a really good division of labor. It was a really good arrangement. And to be honest with you, when I got into that business relationship, I actually wasn't really in it for the money at all. I was working in a recruitment business, which is part owned by myself and my brother. So that was paying everything that I needed in terms of lifestyle. Really, the reason I was in property was to learn. I really wanted to understand how this industry really worked. And that worked tremendously well. The portfolio of rent to rents ended up growing to around about 60 rooms or 55 rooms in Southwest London. So Teddington, Surbiton, Richmond sort of area, that patch of land in Southwest London. But the main guy who was running it or running the day-to-day, he kind of fell out of love with the business. He was self-managing and it was kind of grinding him down. So after around about 2 years, he decided that he wanted to move on from the rent-to-rent industry. So we both parted ways. I stayed in property and he moved on to another industry.
Okay, so let's make a little detour. So that was a great way to start off. And again, just pointing out, you were putting the money in, you weren't putting the time in. So that was great for you. And was it on a 50-50 basis?
I think it was on a 50-50 basis. I can't actually remember, but what I do remember is we had a bit of a rule where once I had received my principal back, then I would drop the share of profit that I was taking from the deal, which I think is really fair. Like if you're funding the deal, once you have your initial investment back, to actually then give the person running the deal, a bit more of an upside to account for the fact that they're self-managing and doing viewings and that kind of stuff.
That's really important, Tunde, because you'd be surprised how many people are not all about the win-win.
Yeah.
And you see them try to crush you down on, on the rents because they want to have all the upside, and it's really difficult. Well, we don't do it anymore. We don't like working with people like that. When you go into a partnership, you want to be delivering on your side to give, to make it worthwhile for your partner to be there, and the same for them, that there's something that makes it worthwhile for you to be there. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. So kudos to you. You had that relationship, but you also mentioned that you had your recruitment business with your brother. So tell us, was that straight from university?
Yeah, so that was straight from university. I had actually coincidentally done an internship in a recruitment company. So in between my first and second year of university, I done an internship at a company called Michael Page. So they're one of the biggest recruitment companies, globally. So from there, I learned so much about recruitment, how the industry works. And I just always thought, like, this makes sense. I can kind of understand it. So I joined forces with my brother. He was a former accountant at PwC and Ernst & Young. So the recruitment business that we have specializes solely in recruiting accountants, which kind of is a good mesh of both of our skills.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love the fact that you went on an internship for how long, Tunde?
8 weeks.
You went on the thing for 8 weeks. He says, right, okay, I've got the measure of this business. Let's start a business. As soon as
I mean, the recruitment business is really simple. And I think the recruitment industry, not many people know, but it's very unique in the sense that even as a very junior member of staff, you pretty much run your own business. So everybody runs their own business within the larger framework of the business. So you have to go out and find some candidates who are looking for a job, and you also have to find companies who need to hire. So once you figure that out within the remit of a company, it's not too difficult to then go and implement that in your own business.
And let me just ask you, because that sounds like something that would stress a lot of people out, because it's dependent on having a steady stream of leads or prospects, because not everyone is going to be suitable for you or say yes. So did you have a way of how did you get that consistent stream of leads?
LinkedIn. Back then, it was a lot easier to really grow your profile on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn's quite different now. Like LinkedIn now, I look at it very much as a content marketing platform. Like people are posting content, videos, long form, articles. But I remember when we were really prolific with LinkedIn, it was very much a case of, and it might sound super boring, but you could connect with 100 people that morning. By the afternoon, 50 of them have accepted your connection request. Then you can send them all a message the same day. And then by the following week, you've probably got 10 of them booked in for a call. And that was very much it. A recruitment business, like any brokerage, you have to have a constant lead of, one side of your business and then the other side. So clients and candidates. So that's it, really. Like that's just a constant activity, lead generation, looking for more people to speak with. It doesn't stop in a sales environment.
Now, that sounds great. And what was it like on the other side, finding the companies who wanted to recruit?
So what we would do is a very interesting strategy. So we would find a really stellar candidate. So we'd find one person who had an extremely great profile. And then from there, what we would do is we call it a spec email. So we would profile that person into an email and we'd basically say, we've got a person, they work currently for one of the big four, they have 5 years experience, these are their qualifications, and we'd send that in a mail shot. So very simple, just a cold email. We'd find every single company in the UK, or we've got a lot of clients abroad as well, who could hire that person or potentially, would look for that profile of person. And then we'd just send them all a cold email. And we'd say, we've got this person, they are actively interviewing, they want to move role. And you'd be surprised the amount of people who would actually come back and say, we want to engage in a conversation.
That is super cool. So actually you had this really well-honed machine then, a well-oiled machine, a way of generating everything. And do you still run that business?
The business still runs. I'm not super involved in it anymore. We kind of found a way to streamline the business and systemize it to a degree, just with an increased spend on marketing to actually get the candidates. And I feel like with a lot of brokerages, you get to a point where most of your target audience kind of know you. So the business still runs, but I don't need to be hands-on with that business right now, which is good.
That's great. It's great to have those sort of business assets that don't need you to run. And I don't know I'm guessing with the impact of Corona, some people are still hiring. So what has been the impact on your business?
It's challenging, of course. I think in a recruitment business it's challenging. I think where we will probably still do okay is simply because we're focused on such a small niche. That niche is accountancy, and whether you're growing or whether you're shrinking, your accountancy spend probably doesn't change too much.
Yes.
So in a way, we're kind of lucky just because we specialize in an industry that is quite robust in how it functions.
Yeah, that's great. And there's so much there to learn from the property side of things and people don't focus on it as much, is constant stream of leads on terms of the prospects for whatever you're looking for, and to have a system of creating that. Absolutely. And also to have that sort of resilience in whatever investment asset that you are choosing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about the property style that you do.
Sure. So our model in property is so I work with a JV partner. He's a silent JV partner, so he invests in the deals. I also put money into our deals, and we basically look for things that we can turn over quite quickly. So our model is that we only want to buy and then sell within 6 to 12 months, basically. And that's really just born out of the fact that, we kind of want to go on that process of trading deals. So that's really what we do. We don't hold any stock. We've got one property right now that we're about to put on the market and sell. But apart from that, our model just relies on looking for a deal, finding it, moving it on, take some margin and move on to the next.
Cool. Very cool. This is totally alien to me because I'm all about the about
long
the
term.
husband.
Yeah.
But tell us about one of your latest deals.
Sure. So an interesting deal that I think is actually it's quite a funny deal actually. And the reason I say it's funny is because it's quite unusual. So this deal came about through, I think I saw the deal actually on Facebook. So I saw the deal on Facebook, and you get a lot of deals that people post on Facebook, and sometimes, you're not sure if it's actually a deal. In this instance, it happens to be. So I contacted the person who had posted the deal, and he basically said, look, I've got a direct to vendor lead. I'm speaking directly with the vendor, which a lot of people say, but he actually was. So it was a very unusual deal, and you kind of have to be a bit of a risk taker to do this type of deal. So what he said, pay me £300 and I'll give you the vendor's phone number. So pay for the lead, essentially. And me, I'm a bit of a risk taker, and I thought, you know what? I was just feeling like I want this deal. So I paid it to £300. I got the vendor's phone number, and the vendor wanted to sell a house that he inherited really, really fast. It was in the Welsh Valleys, and he was selling it for like 32k. I think he initially said 34k, but then he said 32k. So we bought it blind. We bought it without seeing it. We had a local builder go and see it, but I physically never went to see it. Just through studying the data online, I was like, this looks okay. The initial intention was to renovate it and then sell it on. But then we had 4 estate agents come over. The first 3 said that we could only sell it for what we got it for. And then the 4th one said you could sell it for 55k, right? Bearing in mind we bought it for 32k. So it went on the market, and we had like 5 offers come in within like a couple of weeks, which was pretty crazy. So we didn't refurbish it at all. We did get quotes from the builders, but we just moved it on, and we took our margin and we moved on to the next one, basically.
Wow. I'm loving your style. And
it's a very lazy approach.
It's a bit suspicious, isn't it? When the estate agents, so did you tell them what you bought it for, or they'd already just seen it online that it was for sale at that price?
I think naively, I told them what I bought it for. Yeah. I was quite probably a bit naive in that sense. I said, this is what we bought it for. What could I sell it for? And they all said, you can sell it for what you bought it for. They didn't really have much foresight. But then the 4th agent was really, really good with, they had a great pool of investors on their list, and they said, look, investors want this type of property. And strangely enough, we sold it to a London-based investor who lives in West London and wanted a deal in South Wales. So it worked out well.
That is great, because it's all about the people then, isn't it? As well. 100%. And it's also, in this case, you didn't know the person who put it on Facebook, or did you?
No, we had mutual friends, but I didn't know him.
Yeah, you didn't know him, but you took a risk. You took a risk. I think £300 is, you just think, and it paid off.
It pays off. Yeah, it pays off. And more so, and I think what I've realized from this deal is that more so than just having done that deal, we've now built a good relationship with, 2 agents in the area who now contact us when they're doing, they've got other stuff on the go. And we actually built a relationship with the person who bought it as well. So sometimes just from doing one deal, you can develop, 2 or 3 really great relationships, which should last beyond that deal itself.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, so you're a trader basically, and you've got potential for big margins on the deals that you do. Do you, just curiosity, you don't have to answer, but what do you then do? So you trade and you make a profit, and then do you invest in something else?
No, we don't invest in anything else. Yeah, we just hold the cash and wait until we can find something else. Like, there is no other investment avenue that we have. We have other businesses, but they're not really linked to properties. So we very much just hold the cash. We don't actually even draw any of the profits as a salary or anything. We just literally keep it there. And our idea is that we're both in our I'm 28, my JV partner is 28 as well. So our philosophy is that if we can carry on trading, we'll just build up a cash pot, so that maybe when we get to mid-30s, we'll maybe do more long-term investments.
Yes, yeah. That sounds really cool. You can keep your eye out while you're in Wales and my side of things.
I think we might. I don't know if we'll do another deal in Wales. I guess you never know what will come up, but I'm I'm not sure. We just try and see what comes up, really.
Is that because it didn't go so well in deals in Wales? Because if it was going well, you'd always be up for
No,
another deal.
it went well. It's just really far. Like
Yeah.
like I live in North London, so it's a bit of a journey. So I mean, we'll see. I like the area actually, and I just feel like there's there's so many properties that come onto the market in the area in really bad condition. So sometimes you can do stuff with them and move them on.
Yeah. What I love about investing here is the commercial opportunities.
Mm,
It's so much less competition for commercial properties,
yeah.
so much less cost to buy.
Mhm.
So that's one thing, and obviously the multi-unit blocks. But don't let me start on this. This is about you.
Yeah, no, I really love your model as well. We'll have to talk about that at some stage.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
great because you can go from anything from 3 flats in one house up to whatever, but
Yeah.
you can do it on a small scale or a bigger scale, but whichever scale, it kind of really works.
Hmm.
And as well, it's a great way for people to get started if they bought somewhere that they could live in one of the flats, rent out the other two,
The other
and
two.
you
And
know,
live mortgage free,
yeah,
basically. Yeah.
exactly, and
Yeah.
then take it from there.
Mm.
So we've talked about we haven't talked about all of your businesses, because I know you've got the recruitment business, but you're very entrepreneurial and you've had lots of different businesses, a bit like Aaron, who I spoke to a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell us about the other business ventures that you got going on, Tunde.
Right now, I have an e-commerce business which started 8 weeks ago, but it's gone tremendously well. I can't even describe how well it's gone. So that's been really, really good. That's just trading products on Amazon. What else? So sometimes I'll do freelance consulting work. So startups or small businesses, what I realize is that a lot of them struggle with some of the philosophies of sales and lead gen. So rather than the online lead gen, actually, finding, building lists, contacting companies, building out a pipeline. So I'll help companies with that on a consultancy basis. So that's been really, really good actually, because it just makes life a bit more, full of variety. Every year, I'll probably work with 2 or 3 different companies who are looking to develop their pipeline of leads, basically.
And you're killer at that, because I remember you saying you were, or somebody else told me you were involved in a startup that got a 7-figure funding. Is that right?
No, we didn't get 7-figure funding. We were valued at 7 figures, and then the
Yes.
business went wayward. Yeah. We were valued at 7 figures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that was a technology company. So I went on a tech accelerator program. So before getting into property, I loved the idea of building a tech business and selling it one day. That was my ultimate aim. So I started a tech business. I found a co-founder, and we moved up to Newcastle to go on it's like a boot camp. It's called an accelerator program, where they invest in your business and you've got 3 months to grow that business as fast as you can. And then shortly after that, the intention is that they will then give you follow-on funding. So the initial tranche was 30 grand. Then after that, the idea is that you raise between 200 and 250 grand. So we got the offer, but then things went wayward. And then, we ended up closing the business, basically. But the business was valued at 7 figures. Yeah.
No, and that's great once you got that once you got that behind you and you understand that structure and the way that things work.
The way it works. Yeah, absolutely.
So we've done the business. What would you say, Tunde, is the mindset, or has mindset helped you, and how?
How has mindset helped me? That's a great question. Honestly, I just feel like I didn't grow up having much. So I've always just had this relentless approach to, I need to make some money. That's been the honest truth. I need to make some money. I've always linked the lack of money to stress. So I've always thought that if you can remove the issues around money, then your life will be a lot easier and that kind of thing. So honestly, I just have an approach that you just carry on going. You just keep going, you never stop. And then stuff should start to materialize, stuff should start to work out. So my mindset is very relentless. I don't believe I'm the smartest person, but there's not many people who can work harder than me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, let's come into the mentor circle.
Absolutely.
Just let's start off just by telling people what it is.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So the mentor circle is it's really hard to summarize because it's morphed into something. I would say right now, as it stands, it's a community. And the community is mentors who want to give back, who want to help the younger generation with their business and career aspirations. And then also young mentees, age 18 to 25, who have ambitions, but maybe feel like they aren't getting the support that they need to really take their career or business or aims to the next level. So it initially started as, maybe you could call it an initiative or a charity project, but now it almost feels like a community of people who just want to do more. Everything we do is completely free. It's purely out of goodwill. There is no financial transaction. We just really want to help and give back to as many young people as possible.
Yeah, and it's a phenomenal project. I'm going to put the website up so that people. Is that correct, Tunde?
Yeah, thementorcircle.com. That's the one.
Yeah, thementorcircle.com. And that I've been involved in a small way as a mentor. And what I've been blown away by is the last 2 days, we've had presentations from mentees saying exactly what they've learned and how they're using what they've gained on the mentor circle to move forward. And they're talking about setting up businesses. Some people have got jobs while they've been on there. They've been building websites and doing social media. But the mindset and the questions, the enthusiasm is just incredible. It's such an incredible feeling to be involved. And I know that people are really keen for it to happen again next year.
It will happen again. I'm convinced by it. You know, it was born out of the pandemic. And it was born out of just seeing the sheer amount of job losses that were affecting young people in particular. If you look at the two industries that young people often rely on the most, especially while they're studying, it's retail and hospitality. So that market completely got obliterated by the pandemic and probably won't ever recover to where it was. So what you have is ambitious young people who have been, you know, perhaps they've been in a retail job or they've been working in a bar, and they're still figuring out how can they pay for their studies, how can they develop and grow what they're doing. And it's just about retraining them and giving them support. So the effects of the pandemic hopefully will subside, but I don't think the feeling that these young people have of wanting to improve will go away. So I'm sure we'll be able to do it again next summer, bigger and better.
Yeah, no, it's just such a phenomenal achievement, and I know that people have got such a lot out of it. New businesses have come up out of it, new aspirations. So, Tunde, are there any books that have particularly inspired you?
I used to be a really big reader, and I say I used to be because I got really bad with it and I stopped. If I think about titles in particular, oh, someone's calling me. Let me stop that. Can you hear me again?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. Titles of books. I'm a big Grant Cardone fan, actually. So the 10X Rule is a really great book, just in terms of having a volume approach to life. Like, you need lots of leads, you need lots of activity to get to where you want to get to. I was going to say Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I'm actually not going to say Rich Dad Poor Dad because everyone says that.
Yeah, they do. But
that can be the default book. Kevin Hart, the comedian, has a brilliant biography. It's absolutely fantastic, and it talks about his life journey and his progress through the years, which I really enjoyed. I'm trying to think what other books have really made an impact on me. Those are the two that I would really champion the most. The 10X Rule is a really, really great book, and then Kevin Hart's biography.
Yeah, I love biographies in general. I haven't read one recently.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Oh, this is
sorry. I don't know what's happened with my sound. Sorry, let me figure this out.
Yeah. Oh,
can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No problem. Still echoing. But Tunde, it's been brilliant having you here. Is there anything that I've not asked you about that you would like to let people know about?
Sorry, Stephanie, I'm having some tech issues. Can you hear me?
I can.
You can. Okay, brilliant. Things that I would want to talk about was the question that we haven't already covered.
Yeah.
Helping people. Like, I'll be really, really honest with you. The mentor circle has been, one of the most satisfying things that I've done. And prior to this, I wasn't really, I never thought that I could make a difference, or I never thought that I could that my voice was worthy of kind of sharing. Or I think sometimes what I've noticed about myself, and probably a lot of the people who will watch this, is sometimes you feel like because you are still on your journey as you progress, that you don't have much to share, or you're so focused on the future that you don't look backwards and see what's behind you. So the mentor circle as a concept and as a project has really taught me that just because you aren't where you want to be, and we're all super ambitious here, so chances are we'll never be where we want to be, doesn't mean that you can't look behind you and share the knowledge that you do have that has got you to where you are now. So honestly, I just wish I'd done it sooner. And for anybody watching this, there is value in your voice. There is value in the knowledge that you have. It might not be to your peers, but it might be to people younger than you. I've answered really simple questions that I deem simple. And me and you would probably discuss and say, oh, that's really, really simple. But you answer that question to a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old, and it makes their day, it makes their week, because they really had a block. And something that you deem as so petty or simple, I'll give you one example. One of the questions we had was, how do I register a company on Companies House? And to me and you, we probably registered a company on Companies House multiple times over, but just helping that person with that small task, it really made their day, it really made their week. So as a reflection of myself, I've kind of reflected and say, why haven't I been trying to give back or contribute sooner? I'm glad I've done it now, but I just hope to share that more people should really, look behind them and see who they can help on their journey.
And the great thing was that these students themselves were talking about how they can help others, which was great as well. And one of the mentees is on this evening.
Oh, Shay's watching. That's good. Shay's one of the mentees, which is brilliant.
Yeah, saying this is very good and informative. And also Daily Fitness is here. Hello. Yeah, I've got a terrible echo.
Sorry, I don't know what's happened. Ever since I had a call come through, we've had a really strange connection. I don't know why.
Yeah,
sorry,
it's still there. So I'm going to have to bring it to a close, but I just want to thank you, Tunde, for joining us this evening. It's been amazing to have you, to get to know a bit more about your story, and also just want to acknowledge you for all you've done in setting up the mentor circle, having over 300 young people come through the boot camp and really have a life-changing experience, as you just said. So, is there anything you'd like to leave people with who are maybe just at the start and thinking about getting started now?
In property or in general?
In general.
In general, the sooner you get started, the better. There are going to be so many bumps along the way. You're better off experiencing them as soon as possible. That's my belief. I think everybody will reflect and say, I wish I started 5 years ago. So you might as well start today. And honestly, I think that's the one thing that has really come out of all of the discussions I've had over the last last 12 weeks is I feel people just need to start sooner and figure things out along the way more. We won't always have the answers up front, but as you progress week by week, you're going to figure some stuff out. So just get started. The earlier you start, the better, and the rest will be history.
Yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant.
brilliant.
Thank you so much for joining us, Tunde, and thank you for watching and listening.
Thank you
for coming on, and see you all next week. Bye for now.
Thank you, Steph. Take care. Bye-bye.